Pastor's rage unveiled. It was all too familiar, the oppressive silence that filled our home after one of Father's sermons. His voice, once booming with authority from the pulpit, now left an echo of fear in our hearts. Mother, ever the stoic co-pastor, bore the brunt of his wrath, her eyes carrying a silent plea for peace. I often wondered if the anger that simmered within our walls was something I too carried, a hidden inheritance from a legacy of fire and brimstone.
You know what? Fuck all y'all. Every one of you motherfuckers, every one of you. You want to play with me? Come on, let's go. It's game on. You want to play a game? I got games for every one of you motherfuckers.
His tone sent a piercing sensation through my chest to the pit of my lower abdomen. I didn't have to see his face, the image ingrained. His eyes were squinting and black. His lips would become paper-thin and tight. His face would flush with fury. His jaw would grind and pulse, and his stance would shift as if he were preparing for a physical attack. It was the voice of my father, the pastor, and it was all too familiar. He wasn't yelling. In fact, he was relatively calm. It was a cold calm that often disarmed people and weakened their defenses as his rage subtly increased. But I was completely in tune with his emotions, a skill I developed as a child and how I survived growing up in constant fear. He gave these tantrums in doses, a toxic cocktail of verbal abuse, manipulation, and control, encapsulated by religion, which made it palatable. But anger was the active ingredient.
I want you to know that I meant well. I meant well to this church, and I meant well to this family. Y'all don't deserve me, and you won't get me another hour. You just lost. It'll look like you won, but you lost. Fuck you. Fuck you. You ain't trying to help this church get nowhere. You join the ranks of everybody, playing on the pastor like he's weak. I'll show you how weak I am.
It was the subtleties in the way he said things, the breathy way he emphasized certain words, his vocal inflections and tone, a carefully placed grunt, a pause, or a look. Experts in narcissism call it narcissistic rage, intense anger, aggression, or passive aggression when a narcissist experiences a setback or disappointment, which shatters his or her illusions of grandiosity, entitlement, and superiority, and triggers inner inadequacy, shame, and vulnerability. NE 2018. No one could instill fear like Pastor. He was so crafty that most people were oblivious to his tactics. But this time, the mask slipped. This time, the threats of violence, the literal danger, the exploitation, and psychological manipulation were directed at someone more innocent than me, someone so undeserving of the hatred, disdain, and evil that Pastor's words were laced with. They may not have risen to the level of illegality or violated a rule, but I knew my mother, the co-pastor, was in danger. Every profane word felt like a gut punch that took my breath away. I could feel the anger boiling in the pit of my belly, the exact spot where I'd experienced that inexplicable attack, the section of my GI tract the surgeon removed. That's where I carry my anger. Where do you carry yours?
Daughter, Provoked. What happens when the one meant to guide your soul becomes its greatest harm? The pastor's daughter. Provoked dives fearlessly into the life of Delores Michelle Peters, uncovering the harrowing truths of a family ensnared by spiritual abuse. Through riveting accounts and raw recordings, Delores reveals her journey of breaking free from a narcissistic pastor father who betrayed his calling. Discover how she turned pain into power and a debilitating past into a compelling memoir for redemption, vindication, and justice. It's time to reclaim your voice and take the first step towards spiritual freedom. Order The Pastor's Daughter, Provoked today on Amazon, and embrace your path toward recovery.